So he's making plays. Let's see what he does here.
Got to get 10 or it's good night, Irene. Throws it up in the air, and it is intercepted.
Well, the Seahawks basically punted, literally kicked their way through to win this game, as they didn't even score touchdowns. They did nothing of exciting plays, but I guess you can say all that matters is the win column. But we still have strong thoughts on this game. And you know what, Ian, let's just start with you. What were the key thoughts of this game?
I'm sure they're going to say rain played a lot of part in this game. Seahawks offense is struggling. That game against the Rams means a lot. If they can't put up points and they play like this, they're going to get blown out. The Bears are the Bears. I think they have fluky offense. I don't think they're very good. But what we just saw from, if you can even call that playing, what we just saw from Geno is a lack of urgency, lack of respect, a lack of dedication to the game. 6 points is awful. And just he couldn't even drive the team down the field. It was mostly running, and they go away from what was right, and it was just overall sloppy performance, in my opinion. I think that the Bears are just the Bears. I mean, there isn't much more to say than that. I think Seattle now, with this win, now puts themselves in a good spot. I kind of hope that Arizona loses, because if this Seattle team gets in, I don't care who they play in the first round. They're about to get walloped.
I would agree.
Close.
Yeah, I like the points that you think that, and I think we agree that Geno Smith just doesn't have it. Like, yeah, sure, 4,000 something yards. Numbers looked good in the last couple years, but look at this season. He has the second most interceptions in the NFL, and it's surprising that he didn't throw a pick today. And there were a couple times where there was a chance for the Chicago Bears to convert an interception, which didn't happen.
Yeah.
What bothered me a lot was the play calling of Ryan Grubb was very questionable. Like, there was like some third downs and 10s where you were seeing some screen passes. Geno was throwing it in the wrong places. Like, Ryan Grubb, I know a lot of fans criticize him for not running the ball enough. But I mean, this game, sure, he ran the ball a lot, but he kind of overcompensated for what the haters were saying. Like, yeah, I agree with running the ball. He did great with Zach Charbonnet, but then they made it too obvious where they were just running the ball too much and excessively, where I'm not saying that they should have gone full air raid offense, but they should have at least went with those short passes. They actually did some of that to Noah Fant, and I think maybe something to DK. No, they just passed it to him. But should have used some players in the slot like Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba. They didn't really use him that much at all. And if we look at the stats of the receivers of how they played, as I'm going to the full box score, the receptions were not great. Noah Fant was actually the most received with 4 yards for 43. DK 3 yards for 42, which, by the way, he should have been kicked out of the game. I'm surprised he wasn't. Jackson Smith and Jigba 3 yards for 32. That hurts a lot because he's on my fantasy team. Tyler Lockett 3 receptions for 20. Zach Charbonnet 3 yards for 19, and Pharaoh Brown with 1 and 4. Looking at the run game, even though they ran the ball quite a bit and they carried the ball 26 times, they got 122 total yards, but Zach Charbonnet got only 57, less than 4 yards a carry. Kenny McIntosh was actually more efficient, but I mean, the running game shouldn't have really happened. They should have at least done some short passes. Now, granted that it was raining, but I still think that they should have done some short passes, like do it like 5 to 10 yards at a time, but they didn't even do that, which is why there were so many like 3 and outs. They couldn't even get past the field, couldn't even get in the field goal range, with the exception of 2 times with Jason Myers kicking those field goals. So that is my take on it. And yeah, I think if the Seahawks cannot score against a Chicago Bears team that are pretty much hopeless and lost now 10 in a row, what would convince anyone to think that they can win against the Rams, even if the Seahawks do have an opportunity to win the final game of the season with something to play for, which is the playoffs? And it's crazy to think that they have to win out. Not only win out, of course, they have to win the Rams game, but also have to depend on the Cardinals to win on Saturday, which I don't know if I see that happening either, unless the NFL script says we need the ratings, so let's do it. Let's make it happen, referees. Any other thoughts you've got?
Overall, I think Seattle sold. I think it was a horrible game. I just think that the amount of people that want to see the Seahawks in the playoffs is crazy for what the product we're getting that they're okay with, that Seattle's giving them on the field on a daily basis. I mean, this game, we predicted earlier, I thought teams were going to go down and score. I thought we'd see some defense, but I thought there'd be some offense. I don't care about the rain, but 6-3 is – I actually don't remember the last time I saw an NFL game end 6-3. That's just how bad this game was.
It really was. Like, offense was very predictable as it gets. Some really bad play calling by Ryan Grubb. Geno Smith couldn't find basically anyone. And watching the Bears offense was just very cringe to watch. Like, at the very end, what did we see? Like, Bears were trying to go for it on fourth down, which they did which they did in that final drive. Great. But then they couldn't even put themselves in position to even get a field goal. Yeah, and they were so focused on trying to get a touchdown.
They were right there on the field goal range. I don't know why they didn't hit a dump pass and get it. I really don't. I just think overall it was just a bad game. I'm hoping that we will see better out of them coming forward, especially with this Rams game on Saturday. Is going to be pretty big. I may cover it. I may not on my own channel. I am not excited yet. I don't know. It's going to be one to have to watch and see what happens with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sad thing is there's not really much to talk about because this game was just that atrociously bad. Like, the only positives I got was Leonard Williams was able to still compete while being double teamed by the Bears offensive line, and Jason Myers hit 2 field goals. Yeah, that was it.
The positives were that I thought the Seattle run game at the start was pretty strong. It wasn't Kenneth Walker. It was Charbonnet. It was Homer. Some other guys getting in the mix.
McIntosh. Homer's been out for a while.
McIntosh. But still, I mean, there was some positives, but there's nothing really to talk about. We didn't see too much. And you're seeing what Seattle's going to put out there. I don't think this team is a playoff caliber team. I think the Rams any day of the week could show up and win. I could not say that about the Seattle Seahawks.
Like, at this point, like, other things I've noticed, everyone's saying that, oh, Seahawks offensive line bad, offensive line's bad, offensive line bad. But if you want to say how bad the offensive line really was, if you really believe that, how many times did he get sacked? Geno Smith got sacked 3 times, which I would like to say much of it was actually his fault, because he had opportunities to get off the ball, but he kept holding the ball way too long. He could have at least scrambled to run because he's got the feet to do it, and he could have done short passes, and he didn't even do that. He just kept holding on the ball longer than he should have, which is why the Bears defense looked competent, even though their defense wasn't anything great. We can agree that. And everyone's going to say, well, the Seahawks defense was great. Yeah, because you're playing the Chicago Bears that doesn't even have a legitimate offensive coordinator, and their coach was extremely incompetent on his game planning, especially on the final drive. So you can't really say the Seahawks won this game. The Bears lost this game.
I'd agree with that.
And I know it's sad because for a game like this, there really wasn't just much to say at all. Like,
I mean, we could talk about like the future and stuff, but that's not really. We're trying to talk about stuff like what's relevant for the team, and there just isn't anything at the moment.
No, not really much to talk about. The only thing we could look forward to is hopefully the Arizona Cardinals, or shall I say the referees, help the Cardinals win, so we can get that. We can follow the NFL script and hopefully get the last game, because if we do get that last game, it's probably going to be a Sunday Night Football. If they do get the last game, it will get flexed. I will be looking to do that game would be looking forward to it, but too early to say. So I don't know. But we can only look forward to the fact that the Cardinals are basically our line of hope right now. And the question is, do the Cardinals come out and play like trolls, or do they just say, nope, screw it? But also it's a divisional rivalry game, so maybe there is a breath of a chance that the Seahawks do get the last game. But if they do get the last game, note this, and here's a warning to you. Seahawks have only won, I believe, one game in Los Angeles, and that was with the Geno Smith run. And don't forget, that was also when Matthew Stafford was hurt. I don't even think he was playing. So I don't think there's really much to say much. So if you really think about it, technically, Seahawks haven't really won a legitimate game in Los Angeles. So I would not have my hopes up going into Los Angeles, but the only thing we have to look forward to now is the Cardinals game, and that is all I got. Ian, do you got any final thoughts on this train wreck of a football game?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the Seahawks take this, learn, and come out and actually prove us wrong in LA. I would like to see them move the ball efficiently. I'd like to see them just beat the Rams, regardless if they're in or out of the playoffs. Just go in there, lay down the law, show them what next year's going to be like, and then go hunt and figure out a quarterback. And if Geno's going to keep playing like this, in that game, if we're down in the second half and it's over, I'd like to see Sam Howell show us what Sam Howell can do. Actually let him play and let him show us if he's got any worth of talent being the head quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks.
Which I unfortunately don't see, but hopefully we don't have to get to that point. Hopefully we're at the point where Geno Smith is leading this team to the playoffs, and that is after Arizona wins their game. So, and the other concern I have about Geno Smith is he is not a clutch player. And again, do not tell me about his 18 game winning drives. I guarantee you that more than half of them were against illegitimate teams. So I am not going to say that Geno Smith's a clutch quarterback just because he's got all these game winning drives. He's actually failed a lot of opportunities on game-winning drives, more than I have seen him achieve game-winning drives.
As he should, yes.
Exactly. Well, anyways, I think that's going to do it. And I just want to say for all those that were streaming throughout this game with me, thank you very much. And thank you, Reflect the Sun, for the $5 donation. I really do appreciate it. And everyone that's painfully saying